Howdy do, y'all. This is John, and welcome back to my 5th Annual Horror-Athon. Today, we are talking about The Cabin in the Woods. And in The Cabin in the Woods, it deals with this group of 5 friends who all go down to this cabin, the middle of the woods, that supposedly one of their cousins owns. Unbeknownst to them, though, this cabin is used as a ritual sacrifice thing by this group of government officials, and they've chosen these people to essentially ritualistically sacrifice. And they unleash the zombie family and, stuff happens. Okay, so, before I begin, we've got an extra video this year with my Horror-Athon. I think it may have something to do with the fact that it's leap year. Crazy stuff happens sometimes. And sure enough, crazy stuff happened this year. We've got an extra Wednesday. So, I decided, hey, the last video I do every Horror-Athon is always something I think is underappreciated or underrated. For my next to last video, why not do the exact opposite? A movie everyone seems to love, has a cult following. However, when I watched it, I was just in there going, what? So that's what I'm doing. The Cabin in the Woods is a movie that I don't understand why there's so many people who love it and stuff. Because I just don't. But before I get into what I don't like about this movie, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. And just talk about, the one thing that I actually like about the film. And that is, of course, the practical effects, the makeup work, that kind of stuff. They're actually pretty good. The practical effects, the makeup, the animatronics, I genuinely think that those are really good. Are they the best I've seen? No, I will say that right now. They're not the best I've seen. However, they are good. So there, I gave credit where credit was due. Now, let's get into, oh boy, The Cabin in the Woods. First of all, the story, the whole thing, it felt like the exact opposite of what they were going for. This movie's supposed to be this kind of satire on the horror genre. However, Scream did it way better. Now, I know Scream was not a full-blown comedy. That was a straightforward horror film. However, it was still satire, and it was better done satire than this. With this movie, it felt like it was made by people who genuinely despise the horror genre, because it did not feel like satire. It felt like hatred. And the whole government thing that involved ritualistic sacrifice, that felt like it was just thrown in there because Joss Whedon did not have an original thought. It was just like, here, let's throw in this because, hey, I came up with the most unoriginal thing ever, so here, let's throw in this slightly different thing. Also, let's get into the horror and comedy element of the film. First of all, combining those two genres, while it's not impossible, it is insanely difficult. Because you're talking about two completely different genres that are tonal opposites. And trying to make a horror comedy, while it's been done before, simultaneously both as scary as it is funny, that's insanely difficult. Only the most talented of both of those genres can pull it off, and Joss Whedon is overrated. I'm serious, his comedy just always seems completely out of place. And as I've stated before, Joss Whedon, the way I see it, has only ever done one great TV show and one great movie. That's it. The timing of his jokes are always inappropriate, and the whole horror element, it's not scary. It's just not. There's no build up to the horror. It just kind of happens. Also, let's talk about the characters real quick. Supposedly, these characters were supposed to be very smart people before, They get to this cabin, then through some weird gas thing, become stupid. However, when you see them before they get anywhere near the cabin, you don't really get much to suggest they're intelligent. I'm serious, like, one of them's reading a book about communism. What? Also, there's this one character who the movie tries to claim is enlightened because of pot. Yeah, Joss, I don't think that's how weed works. And also, bottom line, like, is this movie even entertaining at all? Not really. Not really entertaining. It's just blah. You're just sitting there staring at the screen and you're just like, yeah, well, this is happening. So guys, at the end of the day, I don't really get the hype for this film. I don't, it feels like it was made by people who hate the horror genre and hate the horror fans, and instead of just leaving horror alone, decided to attack the horror genre and horror fans. Characters are all stupid. The story, it's generic and boring, and the one real twist felt tacked on, so if they were trying to save face from the fact that, yeah, they made one of the most generic horror stories imaginable. The whole horror comedy element, it's not scary, it's not funny. Heck, the jokes all fell out of place anyway. At the end of the day, The Cabin in the Woods is, in my opinion, one of the most overrated horror films of all time. I'm going to give The Cabin in the Woods a 2. I know I'm going to get some flack for this. I just don't get it. I just don't get the love. That's all the time I have for today. There's only one more video in my Horror-Athon this year left to do, and it's coming to you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Please hit the like button if you did. Please also subscribe if you're new to the channel. And as always, please remember, the Badetsky will return.